We're the indie project Bee and Theo, and we've been living and travelling the world in vans for the past 6 years. We're currently renovating an abandoned stone barn in Portugal to turn into a beautiful tiny home for us and our cats Ginjey Bear and Furrnando. Follow our journey from the very beginning as we document the whole process of creating an off-grid home.
Hello guys, welcome back to another video here from our beautiful land in Central Portugal. It's a stunning day today, super warm, there's no clouds in the sky, and I've got a lot to update you guys about. So first of all, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to every single one of you for your amazing support through this difficult time. It has been incredible and very overwhelming. You guys have been sending us messages everywhere. So on Facebook, on YouTube comments, Instagram DMs, sending us emails, even signing up to our Patreon to help support us. And it really does mean the world to us. I've been relaying messages and comments back to Bee, and it's made a massive difference of cheering us both up through this difficult time. And it has been incredibly difficult, and like I ended the last video, I was feeling really positive, and definitely since then there's been ups and downs, but overall we're making really good progress, and I'm going to go through everything in this video. So as you guys know, our number one priority above everything is Bee and Bee's health. So we've been putting everything in place possible to make sure she makes a really good recovery and can heal basically. So she actually went away to a really nice hotel for 3 nights near Lisbon with a friend to just have some time away and to actually just do nothing. Time to think things through and just relax, completely just turn off, shut off and relax. And it really did help a lot. She came back and she was smiling again, and since then there's been ups and downs for sure, but there's always going to be. But it was so nice to see her smiling, and it just filled me with joy to see her slowly coming back to the Bee that I really love. So that's really positive. And I've been working really hard on the barn, and I'm excited to show you what I've been up to for sure. But like I say, the priority is Bee. It's really important that we just do everything we can to make Bee get better, and I think so far we're doing a really good job. So I've just come into the barn and already I've got a massive smile on my face, because every time I walk in here, one, it's really cool because it's like 34 degrees outside today, and in here it's just wonderful. It almost feels like you're walking into a fridge. It's just gorgeous. But I've got so much to update you guys with in terms of the build of this project, and I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Nick, my friend, who I reached out to when we had the whole situation with Bee, and everything just felt so much weight on my shoulders. I'm not one for asking for help usually, but I reached out to Nick and he literally just dropped everything he was doing on his own project and came to help me, and I will forever be grateful to him for that. He's really helped relieve so much stress and he's so good at what he does. So on day 4 of working with Nick, I feel like we'd really achieved a lot already and we were starting to work really well together. So I was doing all the labouring and the mixing and he was actually putting the mortar on the wall because he's so quick and he's so good at it. I think we actually did it in like twice as quick or 3 times as quick as I could have actually done it on my own, because if you take into consideration how long a mix takes, by the time I've done everything, it's probably about 25 minutes to half an hour, because lime, you want to mix it for 15 minutes to get it really nice and fluffy. So that's probably the amount of mixes we were doing in a day. There's probably about 3 hours of my time just mixing. So if I was working on my own, it would have been a long, drawn out process. So it's currently day 4 of Nick helping me out with the plastering, and it is looking incredible. If you look down here, I've just done a fresh mix, and this mix is so nice and creamy, really nice to work with. And if you look up here, you can see the difference between what Nick's done today. So this is actually the top coat now, this is the finished coat, and he's just sponging it off to give it a really nice rustic finish and taking out any imperfections. And you can see here underneath the scratch coat, so the top coat adheres nicely to it. But it's going really well, and it's looking so much better than I ever thought it could.
Could you pass me the trowel so I can cut this edge, please?
I've learnt so much over the last 4 days working with Nick, and he even said I'm the best labourer ever. Didn't you? He won't say it on camera, but I know that's what he's thinking.
The best.
But yeah, I've learnt so much, and it's so good to see a professional working. He's so fast. It's ridiculous how fast this plaster goes on. It's amazing to see. And one thing we need to keep doing is wetting the wall down, because it's really, really warm here in Portugal at the moment. Although today I think we're only maxing out at like 29 degrees, but the coming days are going to be maybe up to 35. So it's important to keep the wall really wet so that the mortar sticks nicely. The mortar goes on even faster when we're on ground level as well. It's much easier to work with than being halfway up a ladder or hanging off the mezzanine that's like got half floorboards on it.
Because the wall isn't flat by any means, what we're trying to do is get it as flat as you can with the trowel, and then blend it in with just where you've got some low spots, add a touch more with the trowel, and then just blend it all in with a sponge. So you'll get like a very rustic effect. It won't be dead flat, but then this is an old barn, so
That's exactly what we're going for, is that nice rustic feel.
it's not going to be dead flat, is it? So what you have to do is get pieces like this, where you've got hollows, just add a few bits into the hollows, yeah?
Just touch it up as you go.
Yeah, and you're never going to get it dead flat everywhere, but that's not what you're trying to achieve, you know what I mean?
Yeah, instead of flat, you're trying to kind of flatten out the dips,
yeah,
and make the curves really nice and organic.
Yeah, basically.
One of the things I really like about the wall not actually being perfectly straight and having some really nice organic lumps and bumps is that when the light shines through the windows, you get a really nice, like, different contrast when it hits the wall. You get different shades of light, and it just gives it that more organic feel. So Nick's actually just finished troweling off this area, so you can see how it is before it gets its final finish. So it's pretty bang on, to be honest. There's only a few kind of trowel marks, hardly anything, and then you can take them out really easily with the sponge. One thing that's really important is to keep the wool wet, like I said, but not under the mortar. Keep the actual mortar nice and moist throughout the day, because it will go off really quickly in this heat, and when you're blending from one part to another, you don't want to blend right into a really dry piece of mortar, because it's just not going to blend nicely. So I would say one of the things I've learned is just keep it damp. And also I've been coming back with the other walls probably every 3 hours and just giving it a mist spray down, because you don't want this lime mortar to go off too quickly. And I think we can all agree how amazing the barn is looking. And if I go up the ladder, you can see the completely finished plaster on the gable wall of the mezzanine. And it just looks so organic and beautiful. The plastering really has transformed the whole feel and look of the barn, and it feels like it's really turned it into what's going to be a really usable and lovely house. I cannot wait to move in, I can tell you that. And before Nick got here, I spent every single hour of every single day that I could possibly dedicate to these walls, of just filling any gaps and making them as straight as I could. I know that we don't want them perfectly straight. They will never be perfectly straight, and there will always be rustic walls, but there was a lot of work I had to do before we could get a first coat on. You can see up here on the mezzanine how nicely it's turned out. I can't wait to get a lick of paint on there. It's drying out really nicely, nice and slowly as we want it to. And up here you can really see how nice the plaster is up against the wood. It really sets off the ceiling. It's quite hard to see because it's so bright today, but I've added the Velux blinds onto the window, which just looks amazing. You can see it there. This is a diffusion that makes it a really nice soft light. And if I pull this down like that, we have these lovely blackout blinds. And obviously I still need to finish all the trims around the windows, but it's really not an integral part of the process, so I can do all them finishing touches at a later date. But the most important part right now is to finish this plastering. One of the things that really exceeded my expectations was the stones that stick out of the wall and how beautifully they've come out now that they're plastered. You can see here how smooth and organic the feel is, and the way the plaster blends them back into the wall. I'm so happy I didn't just cut them flat and get rid of them, because I wouldn't have it any other way right now. It looks gorgeous, and I can really imagine some candles sitting up over there, maybe a lamp and some knickknacks to really bring this under the mezzanine area alive. And it reminds me of like a straw bale home or an earth bag house. And you can see behind me how this little odd looking window before has been completely transformed by how it looks now with the plaster. It's really framed it nicely. It looks incredible. And we're actually gonna go for stained glass in that now, which I think is really gonna make it pop. Now that 3 walls have been completely covered, you can see how much this feature wall actually pops, which was the plan from the start, and it really has worked. And you can see how beautiful these stones look. And what the plan is I'm going to point around each individual stone, just like I did on the outside of the building, to really make it come alive and blend in with the rest of the walls. Please excuse the mess as I come around here, but you can see this wall has had the scratch coat and is ready tomorrow to have the final top layer. So you guys are probably wondering why I've just walked into the barn armed with baby wipes, and all will become clear right now. So one of the things I've found with the baby wipes is it's really good for getting the lime off the wooden rafters. So what I do is once the lime's dried, I go around with the baby wipes like I'm gonna do right now and just rub off the excess lime, because if you leave it too long, it goes really dark and doesn't look that nice. So you can see just here where there's been some overspill of lime onto the wooden batten. If I just use the baby wipe like that, comes off really nicely. Day 5 working with Nick, and he's absolutely smashing it. We're already 3/4 of the way through this wall. It's looking amazing. So basically all we've got to do is over there to the edge of the wall, and then we've got a more technical bit down below to go around the window frame, but it's looking so nice. This area up here has all been sponged off and just looks so nice. It ties it into the rest of the building just perfectly. It's absolutely roasting today, 35 degrees, so I'm out there mixing as little as often. So I run outside, put a mix on, and then run back under the shade, because I think you can see the sweat pouring off my face. But inside the barn, like I always say, it's lovely and cool, to be honest, even up high, which is quite surprising. But yeah, I'm just so happy with how everything's come together. And probably in the next few hours, we'll be completely finished with the plastering. I'm just gonna slap this here. So Nick's now just doing all the intricate details around the door frame and the window frame as well. And basically you just follow the shape of the stone, and then afterwards when we sponge it off, I'll show you that in a little while, once the mortar's gone off a little bit harder, and it just really shapes it nicely. So now I'm just on my way to clean this bucket out because it's had mortar in it, and then I'm going to fill it with nice clean water ready for the sponging off. I've got to say, this is one of my favourite parts of the process, sponging the wall off. because all the hard work is now done, and now you get to be creative and make all of the nice curves and shapes in the wall around the door frame, the windows, and anywhere where there's stone. So what Nick's doing with the sponge is he wets it down in the bucket of water that I got him, and then basically in a circular motion just goes over the render, and basically what it does is just takes all the imperfections out and just makes it a really nice, clean, rustic finish. Nick's laughing at me right now because I'm so excited on how this is looking. Look how incredible that looks. Nick has absolutely smashed it. I cannot believe how nice that looks. Now it's completely rendered, this barn feels so much bigger. You can see that wall behind me. It looks massive. Just look at it. Humongous. And like I keep saying, I cannot wait to get our door in, because I know that that's just going to be beautiful light flooding through into here, and also we're going to be able to have a nice view all the way outside. So Nick has just finished the whole wall, and that is it for the plastering. It is done, thanks to this good man. Thank you, Nick. What a roller coaster it's been to get to this point, but it's been so worth it because it looks incredible. I keep actually opening the barn up and going to have a look just because it looks incredible. And thank you again to Nick for helping me out. It speeded up the process so much. Doing it on my own and doing all the mixes and everything, climbing up and down the scaffold, up and down the mezzanine. It's really, really tiring. So with two people, you can get the job done a lot easier, and he's done an incredible job on it. It just looks stunning, and it's really changed the whole vibe of the house. It really feels like a home to me right now, and I can't wait for Bee to see it. Hopefully soon she'll come down, she'll have a look at it completely finished, and I know she's gonna be blown away for sure. And I know a lot of you guys were telling me to take a break right now when everything happened, but I kind of think about stuff in the long term, and short term that would have been fine, but long term, because we're going to go back to the UK so Bee can see family and stuff like that, coming back to a half finished plastered barn was something that filled me with dread, and Bee as well. So to get it done before we leave was a decision that I made, and I definitely think it was the right one, because now we can leave, we can go to the UK, and it means that when we come back we get to do loads of fun stuff like painting it and all the decoration, because we get the floor down, then we can start moving furniture in there, figure out the whole mezzanine layout, get the bed in, and soon we will be able to move in there, and it just feels such a nice environment. So thanks for watching again, another solo video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing the process. Thank you so much for all the support yet again, and I'll see you on the next video.